This is the performing songwriter, and my name is Ray Naylor. My guest today is Laura Promiscuo. Laura recently was a finalist at the Philadelphia Songwriters Workshop contest. She's ready to release her next full-length CD called Nouveau. And before I talk to Laura, we're going to hear one of her songs here right now on The Performing Songwriter.
Watching you takes me back to throes and fire dripping wax, where gods lie bare in tall grass, and wine overflows a lover's glass. But now you're here, and it's so unclear. How can it be that we have connected before? Is it possible that you and I were lovers in a previous war? When I look in your eyes, I see starlight of another world, and not so clearly defined is the year or the time. You're a stranger who stole my heart here on the dance floor. Lay me down by the sea and crash like waves into me. If the world ended now, I believe you would find me, my love. It's our destiny. Yeah, how can it be that we have connected before? Is it possible that you and I were lovers in a previous war? When I look in your eyes, I see starlight of another world, and not so clearly defined is the year or the time. You're a stranger who stole my heart here on the dance floor. Ooh, on the dance floor. How can it be that we have connected before? Is it possible that you and I were lovers in a previous war? In a war. Another world. You stranger who stole my heart here on the dance floor. Ooh, stole my heart here on the dance floor.
Laura, thank you very much for coming on to the show.
Thank you for having me.
And we kind of experimented with that song that you just did.
Yeah.
We used some backing tracks that you used in your CD and some other things, and so I think it came out okay.
I hope so.
Now, what I liked, there's a lot of things I like about your music, but I like number one that you have really good songs. You have a great voice.
Thank you.
And you're a good performer. Which is like super important for this show that people know how to perform.
Yeah.
Where did all that come from?
I don't know. That's my gut answer, but if I think about it, the performing part of everything, I'm really not sure. But my mother's father and mother, excuse me, the Promiscuo side, they had very operatic voices, and so, I think it's in my blood for sure. I mean, the big vocals. So it took me a really long time to kind of stand behind that, and so that part, I guess, came from my family, the voice, and then I think just becoming an artist is, just working into this performing aspect of the music, because they're really two totally different elements in your mind and in, two different parts of the brain sometimes. So, yeah, I think just watching my role models and kind of experimenting throughout my life. I spent a lot of time by myself and dancing around in my room and everything.
How long have you been writing songs?
Not that long. I didn't start writing until late, almost out of college. Really, I was always in like cover bands and a cappella groups and other, string ensembles. So definitely, always performing. But the writing came from my very first original ensemble that I was a part of outside of, right when I graduated. It was a little rock band that we put together, and that was when we were like sitting down and like, okay, how do we do this? And I kind of just started writing, I guess, pop structured songs, but they were rock songs. So.
And I think I read that you're also a vocal coach. Is that correct? Is that something you do on an ongoing basis?
I did for a really long time. I was a vocal coach, and I had a lot of private students up until now.
Now, I mentioned in the introduction that you were a finalist in the Philadelphia Songwriters. It's not a workshop. What is it?
Yeah, the Philly Songwriters Project. Yeah.
And have you been in other contests for your songs?
Like some online stuff. I've never performed for a contest in the songwriting aspect. So that was my first time actually saying, being able to say that my songs were gaining some sort of recognition for their actual craftsmanship. So I've done like some performing contests and things like that, but that was all in the classical world. So.
Well, your songs are very, very well written.
Thank you.
Now you have a new CD coming out.
Yes.
And it's called Nouveau.
Nouveau, yes.
And is it out yet, or is it?
No, it's not out yet. And in fact, we're still recording it.
Okay.
So I feel like I've been writing it for like 10, since I started writing songs. So Stranger was one of my first songs I ever wrote.
Right.
When I was in that rock band, and we didn't use that particular one, so I kind of been like keeping it to myself until I could kind of do it in the right way and in the right light. And so that. I was writing in this kind of genre on the sidelines while actually just crafting, and learning how to write songs. So the songs that I wrote for my first solo album, They came after Stranger,
Okay.
which was weird.
But your new CD is really journeying into a little bit of a different genre.
It is, and so what I'm trying to say is I think it was always meant to be, because I was writing those songs first, and I always wanted to be a very worldly, a pop singer, but with world and classical influences. So I was writing for that, but it didn't work on the first album. I just kind of went into the singer-songwriter
Right.
little bubble here, and that was really fun. But now I really want to get back to my dream as a child, to just be this theatrical production.
Well, you have a music video, which I guess shortly will be available for people to watch.
Yes.
There's a preview on your YouTube page. There's
Yes.
a preview of that.
Yes.
And it really gives a sense of that, of where you are now, and where you're going. Would that be
Hopefully,
accurate?
yes, absolutely. I feel very authentically, released as an artist. When
It's
I
a great
watch that
video.
video.
It's a great video, and it's done very well, and it sounds great.
Thank you.
And my guess is that your CD, the whole thing, is going to be kind of in that vein, I guess.
I hope so. Yeah, I mean, I really want to write movie songs.
Okay.
Big epic love songs with lots of orchestra and production behind
Okay,
them.
so that's something that you are interested in terms of having some of your music in films.
That is my
and maybe TV.
absolute dream. Yes.
Now, when you perform mostly with your band,
Yes.
and you were telling me earlier before we got on here that you're going to have a drummer and some stuff, right?
Yeah, so because the production in these songs is so heavy, and there's a lot of backup vocals, a lot of moving parts, it is possible, of course, to strip it down and do it acoustically. But I've been doing that for a long time, just kind of with a drum box or a box drum,
Right.
and either a guitarist and then myself. So it'll be really cool to do a live performance with the backing tracks and a drummer and just have the full sound there, So we're gonna try.
So a little bit later, actually pretty soon, we're going to hear some stripped down songs.
Yes.
With you and the keyboard.
Yes.
So but before we get to that, and the music business is changing.
Yes,
and
it
how
is.
has that affected you? How have you tried to adjust to the changes?
That's a really good question. The music industry is so oversaturated with so many songs, so many artists that want a shot. So you have to. I was resistant for a while to be in the social media light and doing all those things, because it didn't really seem like a authentic use of my time as a human being, but because it's a lot, you have to be on like 10 platforms at least, if you count them all up, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Reverb Nation, and all of the music sites. It's a lot of stuff. So I think I've tried to adjust just by letting that go, letting my fear and my resistance go, and just joining in to the, okay, if this is what is, if this is what is wanted from me, then I'm there. I'll do what people want to hear. So I've been able to adjust that way. And then I think to be an independent artist trying to do this big pop production, that's also has its challenges with the limited resources and budget, of course, because the old industry would have had a lot more, I think, opportunities for me to be kind of not making music, but also being able to audition for my career, more or less, or meet the right people and get started right away. Whereas now I'm realizing the further and further I get in this totally evolved music industry that I can do this myself. I can. It takes a long time. It's slower when you're, only one person or a small team, which I'm really lucky that I have now. I have I'm building my team members that are really, really helpful because it is a lot. And so I think that's how I've adjusted, just kind of figuring out, okay, to do this vision,
in this industry where no one is listening, essentially. You have to have that in your mind. Like, there's too many artists, no one cares. Which is, it sounds negative, but it really drives you, because you're like, okay, if I'm going to make it, if I'm going to have an audience for my music, I have to do every single possible thing out there and take every opportunity that I can. And hopefully, I hope at some point I'll be able to have a lot more help, But that might not happen, is what I'm saying, It's a different world.
It's good that you have some help now, because usually, at least in terms of professional help, they want to see that you've been able to bring people in, and that you've sold a bunch of your own CDs on your own, and all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They want to see a lot. They want to see you have your videos and your live, performances, and your licensing, and you got to cover all the grounds, and the radio, and there's a lot.
And as I was mentioning to you earlier, it's hard to promote. It's promoting yourself is not the easiest thing in the world.
No, and we're not meant.
But if you don't do it, nobody else is going to do it. And right now, maybe later on, hopefully, yes. But when you're where you're at,
and that's what I think that's what I learned the most, is that I was in this little bubble of wishing that it was the old industry for a long time. Like, somebody just pick me up, And then when it doesn't happen, you have to make those hard decisions. Nobody will promote me. I have to do it myself. And that's hard, because, us musicians, we're music makers. We're not marketers. We're not managers. We're not publicists. We're just trying to sing.
Right.
So.
Well, speaking of singing, we're going to hear you do some more music.
Cool.
And before we do that, I'm going to play part of a video of our next guest. His name is John Beecher.
John Beecher?
Do you know John?
You didn't tell me. He's featured on my #2 track on my first album.
Wow. Very cool.
Yeah, and I did some backup vocals for him on his album. He's a good friend of mine.
Okay, well, the song we're going to listen to and watch is called Saturn Returns. Are you on that?
I am. I am in the background vocals of that song.
We're going to listen to you then.
We didn't.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's very cool. This is a great song, everyone.
It is.
Yeah.
John Beecher, Saturn Returns, with Laura Promiscuo singing in the background, which I didn't know about till right now.
In a castle made of flesh and bone, in the tower of my mind, I am alone. In a crowded room of memories, stranded and down on my knees. So I spread them out on the floor of dreams, and how I feel is what it means. And I know the truth deep inside my heart. If only that, then that's where I'll start. Somewhere in the distance doesn't bother me. Everything I've ever done is mystery. Now's about the only place I wanna be. 'Cause Saturn has returned. And my eyes have been burned. Oh, the fountain of youth, well, it springs from the well of truth. And this much I have learned.
This song is called Neverland. You don't miss me when I'm gone. I'd be blind to
I notice the other women on your arm. I know you claim to be no good, and I know I promise not to fall in love, but I belong with you, even if I can't be with you. Here in Neverland, I sleep alone again and dream about the day when you let me in and we began. 'Cause I belong with you, even if I can't be with you. Here in Neverland, here in Neverland, here in Neverland, here in Neverland. Oh, 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 oh. Have you noticed that I've changed? I walk taller, pretend I have all your love. I'm in the game, I know. This shit just isn't me, but I know I do most anything, 'cause I belong with you, even if I can't be with you. Here in Neverland, I sleep alone again and dream about the day when you let me in and we begin. 'Cause I belong with you, even if I can't be with you. Here in Neverland, here in Neverland, here in Neverland, here in Neverland. Oh, here in Neverland, here in Neverland, here in Neverland, here in Neverland. Oh, 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 oh.
This is called Do Not Replay.
You were living double lives and you knew it wasn't right. Never mind. Ooh, I've been looking in your eyes and pretend that you are mine. You would never mind. A glance can be deceiving. It can take your breath away. I got swept up in that feeling. All the best, no regrets. I said, do not reply. If you fall in love again, please be faithful, be her friend, never mind. Ooh, she may love you more than I, but don't worry, I'll be fine. I finally feel alive. A glance can be deceiving. It can take your breath away.
So I'd like to sing one more song for you guys today. This is called For the Night, and I was inspired by a dear friend of mine. She wrote this song. Her name is Erin McCullough, and she helped me co-write the very first song like I ever written, which was Closer to You, which we ended up making a video for it, and it became the single for my first album. So she's just a fantastic writer, and she sent me this song, and I decided to kind of take my own little twist on it, so I hope she approves. It's a little bit of a sad song.
After 4 years, I am gone, and so it pains me to sing this song. But now that it's done, can I just have one for the night, for the night? Down under that I never did see. You have showed me that I am strong enough to get through this and one day move on. But now that it's done,
So those are some shows that we're going to have in the next couple months. So we hope you join us for every one of them. There was a reference on your, I think on your website, that you have done some touring, and that it said that you toured the United States in a tin can. What did that mean?
Well, it speaks to the industry that we're in, I guess, because I realized I really did need to make my own opportunities, and I wanted to go on tour, and I didn't have a tour, so I made one. So I bought an old 1965 Shasta camper and
Oh, wow.
restored it. It was a big old shell, and we took a couple musicians with us on the road and played anywhere that would listen. So it was really fun.
Is that something that you're planning to do after this record comes out?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I'm hoping to have a lot of shows. If it were up to me, I would be on the road 300 days out of the year, for sure.
Well, maybe someday it will be. So that, which leads me into my next question. And
Yes.
you've kind of talked about this, but just to kind of summarize what your plans are for your music from now to the next, I don't know, whenever.
Well, I have dreams.
Let's talk about that.
I don't know if they're exactly plans.
Well,
I
let's
don't
talk
know.
about your dreams.
I guess you can say plan, it's an affirming thought. But I plan to sing at the Olympics someday.
Oh, cool.
That is something I've always wanted to do. And ever since I heard Gloria Estefan sing Reach. Do you remember that song?
No, but that's okay.
And yeah, I always wanted to be able to be big enough that would be in the realm of possibility. So that is the plan.
Well, let's say in terms of the next year, after your CD comes out, what are you looking to do?
Just continue to build. I would really, like I said, I would really like to tour all the time. I would love to open for some of my role models. I write so many songs that I don't want to sing myself because it's not really my genre. I mean, I really feel like they're completely two different parts of my brain. When I sit at the piano, it's almost like the song is in existence somewhere and it just is looking for a vessel to come out, and I'll be that vessel. I really feel that way because I don't really particularly put a lot of pressure on songwriting to be for myself because I have a very specific little sound.
Right.
And so I've written punk songs and R&B songs and all these things. So I would love to find those a home. So that's definitely a plan of mine. Hopefully in the next year to, be able to work with someone that can help find those
a publisher,
songs.
maybe.
A home because I mean I love them in their own little way. I don't foresee myself singing them like I said, but that would be really cool. So to kind of find a home for the songwriting aspect of my career, and that of course is a great, if you do it right and if you are successful in that, it can really propel the finances behind a performing career, which is hopefully, what people will know me for. So.
Well, what's the best way that people can learn more about you, learn about your music?
Well, I always say people like Instagram these days. So I'm XOL Pro on Instagram. But I'm hoping to drive more attention to the YouTube with the music video coming out. And I'll do some lyric videos and some cover videos. And I'd really like to, and of course with today's episode, I'd like to, for people to, I think if you just Google Laura Pro, I should come up as Laura Promiscuo because that's very hard to spell.
But you have a website too.
I do,
and
yeah.
we'll put that right here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you so much for having
And
me.
I love your music and your songs, and I'll be looking to see your progress as time goes on.
Thank you, and I can't wait to listen to your album that you gave me today. I'm very excited about that.
Okay.
Thank you, Ray.
And be back in a couple weeks with John Beecher.